What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. We're back with another tutorial. Happy 2025, Happy New Year. I hope you had a wonderful 2024 and I hope you enjoyed the holidays. It's now time to get back to some coding. So what are we going to be doing today? We're going back to the basics. We're building a to-do list app using SwiftUI and Supabase. Here's a little demo of what we're building. This design is inspired by Siembra. It's an app that I've been working with the past year or so. So shout out to the team there. And it's a simple to-do list app. You click on an item and you can complete it or incomplete it. You can delete it and you can add new items. So let's say watch tutorial, boom, to master your SwiftUI for 2025. And you can even log in, log out. So we've set up authentication using Supabase. Shout out to Supabase. Super useful. We use it in the Siembra app as well. And it has everything you need as a developer to build a full stack and scale. It has everything you need to build a full stack application and scale to thousands and millions of users. One last thing I forgot is make sure you like, comment, share, subscribe. And also the source code for this will be in the description. It's on Patreon for Patreon members. All right, y'all, that's enough talking from me. Let's get into some coding. Peace. And good luck on your resolutions. Don't give up, all right? I want to see you people go past February. Let's get to coding, y'all. We're going to create a fresh new Xcode project. We're going to call this to-do. Let's call it to-do-y. Boom, boom, and we're just gonna hit create. Make sure it's a SwiftUI project. Okay, and we're gonna start here in this content view. Let's keep that. And actually, I'm gonna create an array. For now, I'm gonna store the to-dos in this array. So let's call this to-dos, and let's say this is an array of strings. Cool. One thing we should do before we start, it looks like I brought in tests. We're not going to use tests for this video, but if you want to practice with tests, they're there for you. All right, so what I want to do is we're going to bring in some assets. We're going to bring in some colors to help us with our code. I'm going to call this background color. And it's going to be the color we use for our background. We're going to go here. You can click here on the top right and make this bigger. And we're going to change the hex code number. Change it to 8DEOFF. Enter, and we're going to copy this. Paste it. Cool. And now we're gonna do some colors. Let's do this one. Let's just do one color for now. So main color. Call it main color, and this one has a hex code of 8CB. C3E. Enter, and we copy and we paste and hit enter. Cool, so now we have these colors and now we can use this in our app. So I'm gonna say dot background color, and we can simply say background, but I believe with the new X code we can say, although you have to be careful with this because sometimes it'll give you an issue, because with a name like this it can throw an error because it's a little ambiguous. Okay, another thing we need is max height, max width. There we go. Infinity alignment dot top. Now we need a for each, and this for each we're going to create a button for our to-do items. So So let's call for each, and we'll say for each to-dos, to do, we will have a button. I like to use this one. The label will be an H stack. The H stack will contain an image, and we're going to use system name. I believe if you go here plus, you can load up SF symbols, and we're going to look for check mark. Which one is it? I think it's dot circle. There we go. So we're going to use these. So this is when it's complete. You're getting this issue because it needs an ID. And we're going to change it from a string. But for the moment, since we're using a string, you have to call an ID, and we're going to use self. What this means is you want to make sure there are no duplicate strings in this array, or you're going to have an issue when you're loading the preview or running the simulator. Okay, the next thing we want is a text with the to-do. Okay. And we're going to set a frame here. Max width. Oh, whoa. You got to be careful now with autocomplete of infinity. And we want to do an alignment of dot leading. Let's set a background color of color dot main. Okay. And let's actually do this homework. Actually, I'll be doing that soon since I'm starting the master's degree at Georgia Tech. Leave a comment below if you're in the program as well, or if you're thinking about it. I'm pretty excited and I'm looking forward to it. Let's get back to the code. We don't want this as the background color. We want this as the main. So this can be our foreground color or style. Oops. Dot main. That means we're missing another color, like a whitish, an eggshell type color. We're gonna create a new color here, call this secondary color. I have the hex number now, and the hex is F. Oh, don't forget the pound sign, FCFEDD. For a nice little eggshell. Shout out to the team at Siembra. We're pretty much following the design that they use, or we use in the app since I work with them. Okay, and here we have the secondary. It might not load now, so if you get an issue, you can do this. And this is, oh, this is not where I wanted to put it. Sorry. Yep. So we're going to type this in, secondary color. Padding. To make this look nice, what we can do is we can cut this out, and we can add a capsule here. Capsule. And we're going to fill the capsule, oops. Fill with secondary color. Yep. Yeah, it's not letting us do that. Boom, and it's coming out nice. I like it. Let's do a few things to make this look better. All right. The first one is we're gonna embed all this in a navigation stack. So let's see, embed. Right click on VStack and hit embed. And then in the container, we can write navigation stack. And now what this gives us access to is we can call navigation title to do this. Boom, cool. And what we'll also do is I'm gonna create a struct here We will call this to-do item. Let's just call it a to-do model. And we'll have a string. Oops, this is a title. And for now, let's have a field called is complete. Okay, and what we can do here is let ID equal UUID. All right. Now, instead of having just a string here, let's call our item to do model. We will call homework, the string we had before, and set this equal to false. Let's refresh our preview. Oh, never mind. So now we don't need this to do. Right. Oh, and one thing we forgot to make sure we get rid of this error is we need to conform to identifiable. That's why I called this ID here. If we didn't have this ID and this as identifiable, then you would have to do the same as before when we had the ID and then you had \self. Okay, here, so we have to do, and now we need to reference a title. And in here, what we can do is we can use some Boolean operation. I forgot the name for it. But we just call it to do that is complete. You hit question mark, and if it is complete, what do we want to show? We want to show this. Else, let's show circle. Now refresh. And actually what we want to do before we test this is we want something to happen when we press on it. So we're going to say is complete.toggle. Now we run into a good issue or interesting issue that is a good lesson, because structs are value types and classes are reference types. You guys should know that if you are an iOS developer, or if you want to become a developer, you should know that. And because of that, since a struct is a value type, when if we try to modify this, it's not letting us. Because Xcode doesn't know that we're trying to modify this specific one, since every time there's a struct, it's just a value and not a reference, as it would be if it was a class. So to solve for this, we need to do indices. And we do need ID \self. Okay. This would be IDX. So we would say to do's index. Then this all becomes this. Let's try it now. There we go. Oh, and since we haven't set the true, it's never getting set back. We should be able to use is or .toggle now. Okay, let's make this look a little bit nicer. And we can do that by adding a strike through here on the text, and we'll make sure you hit option, and then it'll bring in both of these because we're going to use both of them. We're going to do is active, and we're going to use this right here to determine if it's active or not. And for color, we can go with gray. And one thing you may notice if you're testing this in the preview is the button doesn't work unless you click here. To fix that in Xcode, you want to cut this and put it inside the H stack within the button. And let's test that out. Boom, you see? Now you get full access to the button. That's something we like to see. And let me actually put some padding, vertical padding here. Let's do it with 8. Make it look a little bit nicer. Let's add a toolbar item now. And for this, we can do a button, action and label. For the label, we're gonna do an image, system name. I think it's like circle plus dot circle. So for this one, let's do this. And highlight this all and hit Command O. What? No, I think it's Shift quotes, not Command quotes. Forgot. And then we're gonna have, let's see. So these are all some weird color. Let's add a new color. Third. We're gonna call this third color. And that's gonna be the color of the button. We need to click on the color and go to the hex. For that, we're going with 66C4C6. And hit enter. And you want to copy that and paste it here. Cool. And we're going to do foreground style. Third. There we go. Now, in order to change the color of this navigation title, we need to go here in the init and enter some code. You can actually find this because this is a common issue on Stack Overflow. Let me bring my browser here. So let's see, SwiftUI, background. No, it's actually the foreground color. There's some Stack Overflow posts about it. You have to follow some code similar to this. There you go. I'll just write it out here. So we're gonna create an appearance. It's gonna be a UI navigation appearance bar, because that Stack Overflow post I put up, it doesn't have the complete code we want. And I'm not sure where I found it because I did this digging a while ago. Let's just say appearance. Appearance. No, title text. Let's see what happens if we keep that there. I believe it's an issue because it needs to be a UI color. Yeah. Let's do third color. And that's not going to show anything because we need foreground color. They may have changes where it doesn't need to be a UI color anymore. Let's see. Oh, and one thing we're missing is after you create this appearance, we need to call the navigation bar appearance, standard appearance, and then UI navigation bar. Oh, I believe we're failing because we actually do need this to be a UI color. Oops. Okay. Yep, we need it to be UI color, so we probably want to say UI color dot. Let's just make it dot black. Because if this fails and we go to third, I don't want, the app will probably crash. Yeah, let's change this to title 2. Yeah, title 2 is good. Now let's work on adding an alert. And this is what we're going to use in order to add new items to our to-do list. So in this alert, we can use this one. Add item is presented. We need to create a state form. Show. Sure, we'll call it that. Actually, next code is smart. We are gonna need a text for that. I like the new autocomplete, y'all. Show, add to do. Okay. Now in here, we're gonna add a text field, title and a key, enter item, bind it as new title to do. So on this, show, add to do, equal, I set this equal to true. Let's test this out. Enter item. All right, so we're gonna embed the text field in the H stack, and we're gonna create 2 buttons. The first one is going to be our cancel button, and this is destructive action. So we're gonna say show equal false, and then we also want to reset the text. The label for this one will be cancel. Let's see how this looks. So when we put destructive, it shows up like this, but we want the cancel button to be first. Let's change the row to cancel. Okay, I see you there. Since we're doing this, we need to change the foreground style to red, and this is done. And since we'll do it here on the front end, to do's.append to do model, the title is the text, so new to do title false. And let's just add a small check. So if new to do title is greater, no, this account is greater than, say 2, because you don't want to just throw in an empty string. There you go. Let's remove the row. So if we want to test this, we need to test it on the simulator. Let's test it on this Pro Max. Let's do some testing, y'all. Let's see, so homework shows up by default. We hit plus. And let me type something. So if I hit done, all right, workout. If you cancel, it goes away, cool. And then if we, I was having an issue with my keyboard there at the beginning. I thought it wasn't working. Okay, this looks good. And do we have a scroll ability? No. Okay. One thing we need to do is, if we append this, we want to say new to do. Because if we go here, I think the text is still there. Yep. So new to do title, set this equal to an empty string. And I want to throw in a scroll view in here. So we're going to embed. Give me an option to embed. We can just fold this. And this is everything that's in here. We'll just embed this in a scroll view. Let's Let's run it on the preview first. To show the preview, you want to click on this and go to canvas. Oh, looks good. Let's test this on the simulator. Okay, I'm going to speed run and add a bunch of habits. I believe now for the scroll view, we do here's the scroll bar. The scroll indicators is hidden. What's up, y'all? Okay, at this point, we've pretty much completed most of our UI. Now what's left is we want to bring in our backend, and we're going to be using Supabase. Shout out to Supabase. Been using them for almost 2 years now, and they've really come a long way in terms of Swift and the Swift library. And Supabase is something we use at Siembra, and it's never disappointed. It's been useful and helped us throughout the whole process, and we haven't had any issues with it. So if you think about using Supabase, I'd say give it a shot. It's free, and even the paid tier is like $20 a month, and they give you like unlimited access to almost everything, which most of you guys won't have to worry about, since unless you have like 100,000, maybe even 1 million users, then you might need something else. So let's go bring in Supabase. For that, we need to go to supabase.com. So open up whatever browser you use. Open up Supabase, sign in. You can sign in with GitHub. That's usually what I use. Once you're signed in, you're gonna go to your projects, and here you see all these projects I have. And you're gonna go to a new project. And you select your orgs. This used to be my old GitHub name, and this was my gamer tag on Xbox. The gamer tag still exists, if you guys want, but I haven't used it in years. That was the account that I played Apex on. Good old days. Okay, back to this. What are we doing? Why are we on this email? Is this what I named the project? Nope, go back. New project. Oh, I didn't even notice. So we need to rename this project. This is not a good name. We're gonna call this to do. I was too busy talking. I did not notice the project name. Okay, so now we have a project created and it's loading up. It might take a few minutes. Everything's getting set up. Yeah, look, it's still loading. In the meantime, we can look up swift.supabase, or not dot, but Swift Supabase. And you can add GitHub to it to get like a clearer result. And we're gonna bring in the client. For this, you wanna just, once you pull up Swift Supabase, you go to code and you copy this. Then we go to Xcode and we need to add some package dependencies. Go up here on the right, copy that URL, and we're gonna bring that in. This is good. Make sure you add it to your project and hit add package. Now it's gonna fetch all the Supabase packages and bring them in for us. Okay, for this, it's gonna ask us which library we wanna bring in. And for that, just bring in the Supabase one. That gives you access to everything. And this is in case we were only gonna use auth or functions or storage or real time, which we could just bring in auth and real time, but let's just bring in everything. That way we don't have to go back and forth in case we do need more. And let's go to Supabase and set up some stuff. So we're gonna go here to our table editor and we need to create a new table. This is gonna be to-dos. You always want your table's name to be lowercase. This real time doesn't matter since we're not gonna be subscribing to anything. Let's keep the created app. So we're gonna have to add that into our models in Swift or in Xcode. And then what do we have for the, I believe we had a title, which is a text. Yeah, we had a text and then a Boolean, which is complete. In Supabase, you want to use camel case. So this is why we have the lowercase here, or the underscore, sorry. And that means we have to do a little bit extra work in our model to make sure we are taking that into account. So we hit save. Okay. Now let's do a little side by side. Okay, 4 columns. Let's go back here to our struct. And we're gonna have to make this codable. And make this bigger. Okay, so we're gonna have to make this codable. And we need a few other things. We need a created at time. Created at, which is gonna be a date. And now we need to bring in an enum, coding key. This is going to conform to coding keys. There we go. Haha. And we actually do want to case ID. And now we need to make some changes. Since we're going to be using this for Supabase, we're not going to use a UUID anymore. We're going to use an int, and this is going to be optional. Oh, it's missing the created at. Now, let's have Xcode fix that. Okay, and now what we need to do is we need to tell Xcode what to send to our backend. Or whenever we're decoding and encoding it, we need to let it know what coding keys to use. Since we have is complete here and we have created app, we can have this here. And if there isn't any changes, you just keep it the same as it is. You don't need to do this. You don't need to add the string key for it explicitly. It'll just imply that the string key is title or ID. Okay, this is .now. And we're not assigning an ID to this because Supabase will assign it on the back end. Because if you assign an ID now, you don't know what IDs have been used in your backend. So you might overwrite something. So you want Supabase to handle that. Okay, and let's actually create a new file. New empty file, Supabase service. So in here we're going to import Supabase, import foundation. We're going to call this a final class, Supabase service. So for this part, you need to go to your project settings. API, here we go. You want to get this project, this is the key. The URL is here. And you want to say dot. Actually, you don't need to do that anymore. With the new Swift client, you don't have to say dot database. Oh, this has to be a URL. URL, string. And we force and wrap it. Fetch to-dos. We're going to use async throws to do model. From to-dos. Select, execute, return. Let's make this bigger. And let's get rid of this. Okay. So what we can do here is we're gonna say from Supabase, whatever. We're missing one more thing, and that is we need to call dot in here, user, and that means we need to add a value. I'm gonna leave this blank for now, since we're not actually doing this. But what this is gonna do is we only want to fetch to do items for our actual user. Right, because you don't want everybody to do item. And you shouldn't, because that's, you're sharing people's private data. One way to get a little lawsuit on your hands. So one thing we're missing is we need to add a user ID to our to-do item. So go back to table editor. Actually, no, when you want to make changes, you just need to go to database here and edit table. Add a column, call this user ID. We will say this is a UUID, and we can link it. We want to link it to the auth. Go to users and auth user ID. So updating the record from so if we delete a user, let's delete this. So cascade deleting the record from, yeah, because we don't want to keep this. Well, it's optional, but if you delete the user, you might as well delete their habits. So now we have a new thing to keep track of, which is their user ID. This needs another case. And this is user ID. There we go. Now let's go in here and let's post. Post to do item. We can return a to do model. Value. And we're doing this just to get the ID. You can just return that. Actually, I don't even think we need to write return, because this is treated as one line of code. And in Swift, when you want to return, automatically you just, if a function has just one line, it returns that. Open, this needs to be a UUID. Okay. Now let's create a helper function here in our view. This will be post to do. We can just say did add item. So what do we want to do if you did add the item? Let to do equal and now let's call our Supabase service. Let's just use a singleton. Why not? Private initializer, and then we need to do static let shared equals Supabase service. And now in here, if we scroll down to our function, we can call, and this will be in a task actually. do catch. We call try await, Supabase service share post to do. We can append the returned item, and here else we can print error.localized description. Okay, you guys, we can now test this, but before we do that, we need to change some configurations in Supabase. So I believe we need to go here. Oh, I need to go to our database, tables, edit table. So we're going to disable this. Disable row level security. And actually we might run into issue because this is not going to be linkable. Let's see. What we can do is let's create a user here on the side. So we can go to authentication. And let's add a user. Test at test.com. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Great. No. And let's copy this UUID. And now in here we can call UUID from UUID string. Okay. Oh, let's force unwrap it. Okay. Now we should be able to test this. Let's run this bad boy. And if you go here to your table editor, to-dos, if it's posted, it should show up here. So let it load, and then once we enter, it should show up here in the background. So let's pray. Let's see if our coding has any issues. Oh, oops. Remove this, ignore safe areas. Actually, I think what it needs to be is safe area region, bottom. No, wait. You want to do all and then bottom. Let's run that. If not, we're going to delete the ignore safe area. There we go. So we hit plus. What are we going to do? We're going to go work out. I'm going to go hit the gym after this. So say work out. Might take a second. Actually, you know what happened? We forgot to replace this. So we need to say, what is it? Did add item. We need to call the function, otherwise it won't run. So let's see, workout. Workout. Okay, the data couldn't be read, it is not in the correct format. Boom, boom, boom. Means we have an issue. Wait. It did post. So, where was the issue? This is interesting. It's failing here. So, We know that because it's throwing this error. Let's see if we're able to fetch. So let's see. Fetch to-dos. So in here, it's a task. Oops. And let's see, do catch. Error.localize description. In here, we say try await. Supabase service, fetch to do items. I'm gonna say this equal to to-dos. And we need to do this. And we did the same thing as before. We did not call this. So we're gonna go on up here. Perform fetch to dos. Okay, it's fetching. So now there's just a random bug in this return. Let's see what it could be. Oh, I think I know. Oh, of course. Let item, we need to cast it as a to-do model. I forgot that's something you need to do with Supabase. And then we can return item. Because otherwise it's not sure what to cast it as. So you have to explicitly state. And that's what we do when we hit this. We need to say returning representation. Study. Say we're going to study. Same issue. All right, I'm going to stop here and I'm going to try to debug this. There we go. We were just missing one thing. So we need to make sure we're returning it as a representation and single. And something useful if you guys run into issues here is Swift Supabase docs. They have a bunch of documentation here. Like for example, enter. You see, we could have looked here actually and found it. So if you want to enter something, you do this and then hit select and single, and it'll return it. That's one way, or you can do this. That way you don't have to enter select. And then if you have any other issues with other database functions, you can look them up here. But now this is good to go. We can test it one more time. Let's say, send email. Yep, you see it's not throwing an error, it's being posted. And if we go here, we have test and email showing up. Cool. Okay, now we need to save when we complete, right? Let's say we complete all of these. If I run this, what happens? It goes away. We don't want that to happen, so let's say we create a function called update to do. So instead of posting it, I'm gonna say func update to do. is going to be async throws. We don't need to return anything. So in here, let's say we're going to try await. We need to call Supabase from to-dos update, and then we need to say to do. It's a to-do model, and let's keep the formatting the same. So when you do this, it basically doesn't show up when you call the function. This to do part doesn't show up. Update, execute. That's pretty much it. That's all we need to do, since it'll know which habit to update based on the ID. Let's see. Update to do. That's all we need to call. See? Refresh the page. Duplicate key value violates unique constraint to do's p key. Oh, I don't think we didn't update our function here. Now let's test this. Let's say we did pickleball. We need to refresh this. Update where clause. We're missing one line in the update. After we update, we want to say EQ. So we want to find a specific column, and we need to actually specify what do we want to update it on. And we're going to update it based on the todo.id. I bad. Supabase doesn't do it automatically. You have to explicitly state it. Oops. It wasn't supposed to be in an array. Okay, we should be good to go now. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Let's do pickleball and test. Oh, but I think I see something. Oh no. Oh, done. Sweet. So when we complete it, it takes a second, but it should reflect here in a moment. Should probably not. I think you gotta refresh it. Yep. After refresh, it shows up here. Perfect. 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 Now the last thing we want to do is add a delete. For a delete, we're gonna say delete to do. Async throws. And for a delete, we follow similar pattern. We're gonna say from to do's delete, and we're gonna use the same, something similar like we did in up above, where we're gonna delete the ID, or based on the ID. So we need, you can just say an ID. Now let's create this function in our view. So we're gonna say delete item. So in here we're going to create a test, do, and a catch. You want to print error.localize description, try await. What are we going to try and await? All right. We're gonna garlet the ID. These should all have ID. It should never be nil, just because the way we're setting up our logic, where if it's in this array, it's been returned from Supabase or fetched from Supabase, and all of those contain an ID. What do we want to do? So on success, we want to take our to-dos dot remove where. Oh, there we go. Where the ID equals ID. That's it. Now, what's up, y'all? We're almost done. We're missing the delete feature because we can complete any item, but we need to be able to delete it. And for that, we're gonna use something very simple. On each button, we're gonna create a context menu. All right. And what this menu will do is we'll have a button. Let's try this again. Button with an action. Here we go. This will be delete item to-dos IDX. Okay. And let's make this an H stack with an image, system name, trash.fill, delete. Let's try to run that. And let's make sure that our delete method is set up. Let's see. If you want to delete pickleball, yep. If you hold on any of these cells, the context menu pops up. So we can delete it. And oh, it disappeared. Do you see that? No more pickleball. All right, so we got the delete set up, and it's pretty much the UI, right? We have the create. We're reading because we fetched them all at the beginning. We can update it, and now we can delete. We're almost set. But if you notice, there's one flaw in our system, and that's the whole user UID thing. We don't have an off set up. So we need to do that now in the app. And one thing I want to try out, this shirt is, I have a green screen in the back, and it's like, it's kind of in, it's meshing into the background. I want to try something. Let's try to use SwiftUI, or sorry, ChatGPT as a helper. I will show you guys how I would use it. So let's put that in here. I pay for ChatGPT 4.0 or 4.0, the premium version, the $20 a month. It's worth it if you're a developer, if you're learning. You get your money's worth. Okay, create. I don't know why I have cap locks on. I'm yelling at ChatGPT. Create a simple login view in SwiftUI for this to-do list application. Make the simple. Okay, now where is the code? We're gonna see how good it does. So in here, let's create a new view, SwiftUI view, login view. Let's see what ChatGPT gave us. Not bad. We can update this by setting this to background. set this to main. I like to make buttons bold. And let's set this equal to main, but I don't think so. Yeah, let's go with third. And we will get rid of this part. Cool, so ChatGPT made a simple login page for us. Now what we need to do is create a login function. Do that here. Function login. And we haven't created that yet. But I'm just creating the task since we know what goes in here. It's a do catch block, and we're gonna call Supabase. So down here, final class. I'd like to create an auth service. And we're gonna need to import Supabase. This is very ugly code. Don't do this at home. Static let shared. We're gonna make this a singleton. Auth service. We need to do this. And at the end, you can do .auth. And we can change this to auth. And then we'll say func sign in, email and password, auth, email and password. I believe this is asynchronous. And we will create, let's make this observable. I'll create a var, call this session equals Supabase dot session. I misspelled Supabase. Okay, now let's try to log in. Supabase service dot share. Oops, not our Supabase service, but our email password. And let's go ahead and print. Any localized descriptions. We may be ready to test this. Let's do something first and call this. And I think we want to do, I'm going to clean up this code from ChatGPT. That's something you need to do actually when you copy it in. You don't want to just copy and paste. You want to make sure you review, and I believe there should be label. And then there's no comma then. Yep, it looks good. Oh, the formatting here is off. There we go. Alright, let's create a new file. Let's call this our root view. And I just created this so we can. So if let session equal auth session auth service else login view. And now one thing we need to change is here. So actually we should change that user ID. So in here, we're gonna call a guardlet. Oops. So we have a guardlet. Of service dot shared session dot user dot ID house return. Send that here, and then we should be good. Now we can test this. Oh, forgot. You always need to do is make sure you check your app file and that you change the view. So now we're going to point it to the root view and we get the login. We have tests at gmail.com. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Log in. Oh, no, it was test at test.com. I forgot. Oh. Test. Boom, we sign in, and we need to get rid of this homework thing because it's showing, it shows up in our UI. So you can do this, but a nice way I like to do this is you can call it to-do model. Actually, no, it's this. You do the array. This declares an empty array of to-do model. And you don't have to do like an empty array and then declare it here. I like this one a lot better. Okay, guys, that's it. We can add a sign out button. Let's do that really quickly. So when you want to mess with this, we need to call toolbar placement. This is going to be trailing. Okay, and this is going to be, wait, since this is leading, it should go first. Top bar leading. Let's just create a text. Says log out. I believe log out is 2 words. And let's create a foreground style of dot red. To stick with MV, we're gonna have to create a function called logout. Test. We're not doing any error handling here, but you should definitely add that in your app. Do catch try await. Print error localized description. One interesting thing about the sign out method in Supabase is async throws, and the only reason it's interesting is because in Firebase it's not async throws, it's just you just have to try. Like it's not asynchronous. And we should set this equal to login. Shout out to my OCD people. And I also believe login is 1 word. It should be log out. Okay. Try await. Off service. Shared sign. No, log out. Oh, one thing I forgot here. Set our session equal to nil. Let's test this. Wait, I think I did what I always forget to do, which is add it here. So this needs to be log out. Caught it this time. Okay, let's sign in. Test. Actually, you know why it's not persisting our session? Because here, we didn't even call our private initializer. But let's not say it's a true singleton, it's like a fake one. We can do this. We can call task session equals auth dot session, and this is try await, and this is this. Okay, they should work now. So yep, we sign in because the session is still active. We log out. Let's rerun it again to see if we're still logged out. And we are. So test@gmail, nope, test@test.com, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. And we're able to sign in. And if we rerun this, boom, and that's a wrap. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'm gonna leave a challenge for you guys, which is to add a registration or account creation page. For that, you just want to create a register view and create some logic to switch between sign in and register, and you'd have to create some functions in the auth service to handle that. As far as Supabase, you'd have to set up some configurations in authentication. I believe the only one is policies. I think providers. You need to, so it is enabled, but you want to uncheck that. I find it more useful if you have that unchecked. That way the user doesn't have to confirm their email. And yeah, from there you can set that up. That should be pretty straightforward. And if you want to set up some bro level authorizations, you can do that as well. Yeah, Supabase has some templates. You would enable that, and now you would need to. You could only fetch and post from authenticated users, so it'd have to be somebody who's logged in and has created an account. And that's a wrap, folks. Thank you guys for watching. This is me live from the forest in, I don't know, California somewhere. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope the code was useful. Make sure you guys like, share, subscribe. If you have any questions down below, make sure you ask them. I'll do my best to answer them, or maybe somebody else. If you guys see a question that you know the answer to, feel free and help me out. And remember, the source code's in the Patreon. The link is down below. And I'll see you guys around. Peace.